What's up, everyone? NanMans here, and we are back with our continuation of the Mirror Match week. This time, we've got Hardened Scales versus Hardened Scales, and rolling the dice that make my brain hurt. So, I, of course, am NanMan, bringing you guys all the coverage over here at NanMans Nerd Corner. And we get to see, we started out the week with a Prowess mirror matchup. Now we're seeing a Hardened Scales mirror matchup. Now, Hardened Scales might not be the most top-tier meta deck when you are thinking about things, but our shop in particular has some very skilled Hardened Scales players. So, it's very interesting to see, especially whenever they are all on the deck. I want to say there's at least 4 or 5 players that have the deck. Not all of them are piloting it at the same time, but every so often you'll see like 2 players that'll be like, yep, I wanted to play it this week, so we'll see some battlings taking place. And we're seeing currently the battling of the Ancient Stirrings taking place between these players as they set themselves up and trying to get themselves in a kind of favorable position here. There is a lot of solitaire elements that come along with Hardened Scales of both players are just like, I'm going to do my game plan and not really interact with you. Yeah, look at this. It's like Spider-Man meme taking place where both players are putting out the Patchwork Automaton, hoping for this to kind of take over the game a bit. Urza's Saga, though, is going to be really powerful if it can get going. Hardened Scales, number 1 namesake of the deck, is coming out for a player on the right here. We'll see how he's able to kind of take advantage of that. Another Patchwork that's going to be double triggered happen there with 2 counters being able to push across for 3 damage. So tied up 17 all, and we'll see how our other Hardened Scales player is going to respond to this. No Hardened Scales, but we do have a Soul Cauldron. All right, going to 16 here. So we'll see. Get a little bit of a glance at what the deck has in store. Basic Forest. Don't need any shock lands or anything at the moment. Some of these lists do run like, Gruul shock land or Simic shock land. Stomping Ground or Breeding Pool, of course. But not needing those at the moment. Pithing Needle. Ooh. Triggers. What are we naming? Urza's Saga. I love that. Good choice here. Basically going to shut down the ability to make constructs. Great targets if you're using Pithing Needle against Hardened Scales. Urza's Saga is a good one. Inkmoth Nexus, and of course, Arcbound Ravager are all solid ones. You could also name Agassiz Soul Cauldron, but in this case, the player that has the Pithing Needle is also the Agassiz Soul Cauldron player, so they're not going to be utilizing that. And wow, Saga number 2. So naming Saga actually was a big deal victory there. So, all right. Triggers, additional counters, and this Patchwork is running away. Arcbound's now hitting the battlefield here, and things are going to get very powerful very quickly. Are we like at game here? Hold on. Eat the Cauldron, get 2 more counters. Eat the Arcbound, get 2 more counters. So that moves all those counters. Yeah, there we go. Sack it to there. Move to combat. Here's 11 right now. All right, 10, 11, 12. And then, yeah, boom. Oh, gross. Turn 4 victory. That's the explosiveness that can sometimes happen. But really, it was like the Arcbound Ravager. Because it was going to be just like a Patchwork, stare at each other for a little bit there. But we did get to see that sort of Agassiz didn't really make much of a difference there. But really, the Arcbound was what made all the difference there. All right, so we are going to be getting into game number 2. Again, cutting out the sideboarding. So the players did, of course, find some tools that they were interested in, and we see a mulligan happening. All right. Oh, okay, so whoever gets the scales first, is that going to be the name of the game in this matchup? Now, of course, any of our Hardened Scales players that have more experience piloting this deck, please feel free to leave any comments and give some hints and tips and tricks for any players. So we do see, of course, already Arcbound Ravager with 2 counters. What do we got? Patchwork. Okay. Feels a little slow, but we'll see. Do we got... Nope. Passing here. Okay, so Saga. Oh, the wild, weird dice makes my brain hurt. Okay, where are we going from here? How can we push for damage? I mean, a 2-powered creature against the 1-power is pretty easy. We know there's no like combat tricks that are going to put an artifact into play for a Hardened Scales player to grow the patchwork here. But it's also like, how big can we grow the Arcbound this turn, or how big can we grow other creatures, because we've got the Hardened Scales. So, okay, we're going to do a setup turn here. Malevolent Rumble. And, wow. Force of Vigor, 2 Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and an Ink Moth. So we'll grab that lovely little Agatha's Soul Cauldron. There's our little Scion, which we'll pop immediately and cast it. Triggers nothing, because we don't have the patchwork right now on our side, but we'll push for 2. All right, how will our Hardened Scales player on the right respond? Ink Moth. All right, 3 mana available to us. I mean, like, at this moment in time, if you are still not as familiar with Hardened Scales, but you should be like, alarm bells are going off right now because there's an Inkmoth Nexus and an Arcbound Ravager on the battlefield. There could be an infect kill coming up very, very quickly here. So trying to be able to have a way to create a flyer of our own is going to be very important, but we see the move to combat here. We currently have access to our Mox Opal Metalcraft, so we can turn our Inkmoth into a creature. So you notice that tapping of the mana is very important. So, Beseju, loading zone. So this is going to double things up. Animate this Inkmoth. Sacrifice Ravager. So it becomes 3 counters, which then doubles up with loading zone to 6 counters, which that's the weirdest looking 6. What? Cast this Walking Ballista for 0. Put 4 counters. It would normally be 2 counters, but doubles, and then I can just machine gun you down. Pew, 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 pew. Wow. Don't even need to attack. Loading zone's so good. Every time I see it, I'm like, I really need to pick up some more of these.
We're interrupting our gameplay to let you know about our new affiliate with Nerdgear. Nerdgear.gg/NanMan will take you directly to the website, and as you can see, they've got a bunch of awesome gaming accessories, from playmats, life counters with the life tracks, playmat holders, and more. So make sure you do some browsing on the site, find some goodies, and then use the code NGNanMan for 5% off your entire order. But let's get back to our gameplay.
All right, so very, very explosive back and forth between both players, able to just kind of... I was both a turn 4 win. I wasn't paying enough attention to our other Hardened Scales player, but I think she got it on turn 4 as well. So, yeah, turn 4s. Are we going to get a longer one? We'll see. Oh, Hardened Scales. Ooh, should we do another Hardened Scales vote? Which Hardened Scales do you like the best? We see the Tyrannid one versus the OG one currently. But I am a fan of Warhammer. Do have some collections of armies still, so like the tabletop stuff. They're starting to develop a StarCraft tabletop. So they had a special promo going for you can pick up a Zeratul model, so I was able to get that. But we'll probably see more of it at BlizzCon this year since BlizzCon is back. But I keep debating about whether I want to go. Also, they're supposedly developing a StarCraft Ghost. I say StarCraft Ghost in quote unquote. Basically, they're developing a StarCraft shooter again. Supposedly. Rumors are going around. Well, who knows what that's going to look like. But we see the Pithing Needle come down, naming Arcbound. Let's focus back on this game, because Hardened Scales for both players does make things a little bit crazy. But having the Pithing Needle on Arcbound does put a damper on the kind of at least one game plan, one line of play that Hardened Scales attempts to go for here. So we're going to go for a 2, try and maybe force a trade, which is not favorable. So that is, of course, just 2 free damage. Urza Saga number 2 here. We could make a construct, depending on what our game plan is, but we have a second Hardened Scales. Walking Ballista for 3. So we could just basically, like, go for a little bit of damage here. Let's see. Bringing the Zabaz across. Yeah, perfectly fine. Again, we're just going to, like, trade off little 2-2 blows here. Okay, second Ink Moth. Normally we would be like, okay, how can we set up with the Arcbound Wind like we saw last time? But that's not an option here. Ooh, look at this. Nature's Claim. Also the, what is that, Final Fantasy art for it. So we're going to do a basically, this is going to force reactions here and shoot you for 1 there. So we're basically just, we're going to play a spell. Both players lose Walking Ballista. And that was basically what that said. But an Agatha's Soul Cauldron here is really nice. Counter. Do we... Yeah, float a mana, do some searching here. I think I would respond in case there's a second Pithing Needle. Oh, no. There. Hey, guess what we're naming? Any guesses? Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So we're just going to shut down. I love the idea of double Pithing Needles. I think in my list, I have 1 main, 1 side. So I could understand why you would bring it in if you're playing the mirror matchup like this, because there's so many activated abilities. Whether it's Walking Ballista, Agatha's Soul Cauldron, Arcbound Ravagers. Those are like the 3 biggest, scariest ones. Of course, Inkmoth Nexus as well. But, like, there's a lot of stuff that you should be worried about with how much power and pressure gets put on the battlefield. But Ancient Stirrings, we're going to do some digging, looking for something. We find ourselves a basic forest here. The other stuff was some goodies, but we couldn't take all those because it has to be colorless. So that Rumble, okay. Put them in the graveyard. A loading zone? Grab the loading zone, please. Now, Urza Saga. We're just going to take over the game with the amount of Urza Sagas we've got. Sack this with our 2 mana. Our last card in hand is a, Hangerback Walker for 2. Or, sorry, it's for 1, becomes 3 because we have 2 Hardened Scales. 2 damage off the Zabaz coming across. So, actually, like, very impressively set up thing. Oh, throwing the Hardened Scales or the other Urza Saga that's in hand away, but was able to pick it up. But yeah, oppressive, but not like a explosive win right now. Walking Ballista, though, going to start to kind of... We're seeing basically stabilization between both players. The scary part is, what do we get off of this other Hardened... after this other Urza Saga going to come up here? We could make a construct here, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 powered creature is pretty good. Plus, we have another Urza Saga to follow it up. I feel like... I feel like that puts us in the best position. Yeah, so we will be making the construct here and grabbing ourselves, I don't know, do we got a hasty effect here? Okay, some protection. Welding Jar. Some players will run like Lava Spur boots or things like that. There's little like one-ofs, but I like the Welding Jar protection. We've seen the Force of Vigors and things like that. We don't want to get blown out by something, so... you could blow up like a construct and a Pithing Needle and be able to try to go for like a Arcbound win. But we see big beats coming across here. 2/2, 3/3. Animate the Inkmoth Nexus. Go to blocks. Okay, so Arcbound's going to be coming in here. 2 damage marked on the Ballista. Basically, we're just trying to turn that Arcbound into a token or a counter generator here. We're basically going to just like take 2 off the Zabaz and target this Inkmoth Nexus so it gets 3 counters. So we're basically going, okay, the ground game is done. I can't win at the ground, with the mark or the Hangerback Walker, with the Zabaz, with this giant construct. So I have to go for this kind of alternate route here with Inkmoth and just start pushing for infect damage here. We're not able to get like a explosive win here, but we can chip away because now it's 5 infect damage. So that means one more attack and we can win. So I like this line here of trying to set ourselves up for a way to kind of go about it. We've got a walking ballista on the ground to do a block. We've got 11 life. So as long as our opponent does not find a way to kill their hangerback or get an ink moth of their own, we win. But there's the ink moth of their own. So she's going to be at least a little bit more protected here. And we'll be able to continue to push for damage because Construct's going to come across. Zabaz is going to come across. Or Zabaz can hang back because Zabaz has the ability to get flying. So let's see. Walking Ballista, double. Oh no, double Hardened Scales, a 3. So that also can start shooting down some annoying creatures as well. So move to combat. Zabaz. We're not going to keep. Oh, Zabaz could blow up the Hangerback Walker. You can destroy an artifact you control. So not only can we get flying, we also have that flexibility of being able to destroy one of our own artifacts, which would be our Hangerback Walker, making 3 Thopters. All right, things are looking pretty good with just the amount of stuff that is on our left player's side of the battlefield compared to the right. I like the pivot of trying to go for an infect win here, but it has slowly been slipping away from us as we are trying to kind of put something together. And yeah, not enough. It says, there we go, you've got it. So even if I activate, you kill both by tap this, put a counter on it. So there's 4. Which then becomes 6 because of the 2 Hardened Scales. Then we eat it, get 6 Thopters, and it's like, I just assumed you were going to shoot them. He could have, but the hanger back there, yeah, I was like, that's for like extra just in case, I guess, the Walking Ballista, but this is all, it all works out. Also, then the construct gets huge, right? You throw 1 Thopter in the way of each one, and then just like swing it across. So now we get to see a little bit of the sideboard stuff from the players there. Dismembers, unholy heats. That's the thing about the Gruul version, right? You do get a little bit of access to some other colors there. Yeah, unholy heats, force of vigors, the additional pithing needle, nature's claim. I like the idea of the nature's claim. Look at these 2 different art dismembers there. That's crazy. Okay, Pith Needle and Force were brought in. So a lot more on our right-hand side there. We did get to see 1 Nature's Claim, which basically read as destroy 2 Walking Ballistas, or 2 Walking Ballistas on both sides. But look at the Blood Moon art there. That art's sweet. So Blood Moons were taken out, it looks like, from the main board. I think that's the other thing, is like the Hardened Scales now can main board Blood Moon because of the change to the Urza Saga there. So very, very cool to see this sort of mirror matchup here to wrap up this week. I hope you guys got to enjoy a lot of the stuff we got to see. Oh, yeah, okay. So Magus of the Moon for one side, Blood Moons for the other side. Both are still doing Blood Moon type effects. It's just how you kind of wanted to position yourself with it. Did you want a creature that's easier to remove or an enchantment that's harder to remove? But that is going to do it for us to finish up our mirror matchup week. We've got, of course, many more games to come every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you're tuning in, following along for more Modern action. But thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everyone. I'll see you all next game.